Before we get started, I want to explain something I'm going to try to do. Maddy and I live in a country where Fahrenheit is the norm, but as we have learned, we are in the minority. So I am going to try and describe any temperatures I mention, and there will be a lot of them in this session, in both Fahrenheit and Celsius. It may sound a little clunky, but it will be more encompassing. Thanks. Okay, Maddy, on to the intro.
Good to see you all again. Welcome back. Depending on how we like to spend our holidays, we could choose warm beaches with the sun over our heads, or a cold winter cabin. But what makes these places the way they are? Let's look into this, shall we?
If we lived on Venus, everywhere would be equally hot, at approximately 864 degrees, which is 462 degrees Celsius. Lucky for us, we live on Earth, where there are hot places and cold places, often at the same time. Earth has a 23-degree tilt, which means parts of the Earth face the sun more directly at certain times of the year. Thus, when it is snowing in Montana on Christmas, most of Australia is scorching. In the hunt for the hottest and coldest places on Earth, it might make sense to look for land along the equator, since it gets the sun for the longest period. That is a good place to start, but other factors matter. Places near a large body of water or with a lot of vegetation will be more temperate because water is a great carrier of heat, but a poor conductor, meaning it does not release heat easily.
So how does Australia work then?
Have you ever seen Australia?
To be fair, only the TV show versions. I haven't had the chance to be to Australia yet. But no, most of Australia is desert now that I think about it.
But interestingly enough, in my top 5 list, Australia didn't make the top 5. This is also true for areas that get a lot of rain or have high humidity. Also, the hottest places tend to be at low elevations where the air is denser, while colder areas are at high elevations where the air is thinner. Speaking of air, it matters where the temperature is measured. Surface temperature is measured at ground level and can vary greatly depending on the surface color. Basalt and asphalt, for example, will be much hotter than the air temperature above it. Air temperature gives a more accurate reading of the overall area, and that is what meteorologists use when reporting the temperature. As we talk about these amazingly hot and cold places, remember this. We have only been measuring temperature on a global scale since 1880. As thermometers become more accurate, the records will change. Nowadays, we use satellites to obtain measurements from remote areas that are difficult for people to reach on the ground, allowing for more records to be found. And some records are disputed because of how or when they were measured.
Like what kind of records do you think they've decided, hey, we have to redo these? These were done at a bad time.
If it's one thermometer and only one person reads the thermometer, and it was like in 1900, that could be disputed. Was it accurate? Did the person read it right?
The thermometer good?
Was it covered in frozen ice at the time? I mean, there's all kinds of things. So nowadays, they have multiple people look at the readings, and there's like a whole bunch of guidelines they have to follow for it to be registered as a true temperature. All standing records are recognized by the World Meteorological Organization, WMO. However, they place error bars on all of their readings, so the listed temperatures may differ across websites. But no matter if they are in 1st or 5th place, these locations are all extreme. As an aside, I'm going to try to pronounce these cities correctly, but I am really bad at languages other than English, so please know I am doing my best. If you look up a list of the hottest places on Earth, they vary greatly. Part of this is because measurements are often disputed or because they come from areas where humans do not live, making them hard to confirm. Our list of 5 hottest areas includes places where people live, though sometimes not many, so there is more data available. If you know of a hotter area, we'd love to hear about it in the comments.
Or a colder one. You know, we're good for both sides on this.
Absolutely. Any extreme. Sure. We're going to do the top 5 hottest places, and then we're going to follow it up with the top 4 coldest places.
That a person lives at.
Oh yes, these are habitable places. Number 5 is Mitraba, Kuwait. The record is 129 degrees Fahrenheit or 53.9 degrees Celsius. This remote section of the Kuwaiti desert borders Iraq and is near Camp Burang, a U.S. Army base. Besides the U.S. military and some oil workers, no one lives in Mitroba. How did it become a temperature record holder? It has an official WMO weather station monitoring extreme temperatures in Asia, and on July 21st, 2016, a temperature of 129 degrees Fahrenheit, 53.9 degrees Celsius, was recorded. Mitroba is located near the equator and receives intense sun most of the year. There is almost no vegetation to absorb heat, and it is mostly flat, which allows dry, hot, northwesterly winds called shamal to create a blast furnace effect as they blow across the desert. It also has heat domes, which sounds a little sci-fi, but happens when a low-pressure system develops in the summer, trapping hot air. This can then be intensified by an overlying high-pressure system that creates a heat dome, preventing heat from escaping, sort of like putting a lid on a pot. Number 4 is Tirat Tzvi in Israel. The record is 129 degrees Fahrenheit and 54 degrees Celsius. Israel's highest temperature was recorded on June 21st, 1942. Tirat Tzvi is in the Bet Shean Valley near the Jordan border. It has extreme heat, mostly due to its elevation. It is 650 feet below sea level. The valley traps air, creating an intense greenhouse effect. Unlike other extreme desert areas, Tirat Tzvi is not uninhabited. There is a kibbutz there with approximately 700 people. A kibbutz is a small community in Israel where everyone lives and works together. Their egalitarian ways of life attract visitors from outside, and they earn their living through agriculture and tourism. The valley is near the Jordan River, and despite extreme temperatures, the Tirat Tzvi kibbutz grows dates. Remarkable.
Are we sure we're pronouncing these things right?
Yes. I mean, I know that I'm trying my best. I did put, you saw that it had the pronunciation guide next to the word.
Wonderful.
I am assuming that native speakers probably pronounce it slightly different, but I'm doing the best I can. I'm not trying to offend anybody.
True, we don't know the tones or pronunciations.
3. Avaz in Iran. The record is 129.2 degrees Fahrenheit, 54 degrees Celsius. The previous locations were mostly uninhabited, but that is not the case in Avaz, Iran. This city is the capital of the Khuzestan province in southwestern Iran and has a population of 1.3 million. The Karun River flows through the city, and it is famous for its 9 bridges. Avaz has a fascinating history, and it is well worth clicking on one of the links in the notes. How did a city get so hot as to set a record, especially a city with a river running through it? As often happens, it starts with elevation. Avaz occupies a low-lying natural basin that traps heat near the ground. Add to that a subtropical hot desert climate with long hot summers and almost no rain from May to October, creating scorching summers. The shamal that blows through the Kuwaiti desert also blows through Iran, bringing hot, dry air to the region. Along with all the natural reasons for the heat, humans also add to these extremes. Large cities can become heat islands where buildings and roads absorb and then readmit the sun's heat, raising the temperature by 1 to 7 degrees Fahrenheit, 1 to 4 degrees Celsius, above the natural surroundings. Pollution from factories and cars can also trap heat. A lack of green spaces in cities also contributes to rising temperatures. A city like Avaz, with over 1 million people, can easily become a heat island with extreme results. Number 2 is Kabylie, sometimes pronounced Gibili, in Tunisia. 131 degrees Fahrenheit, 55 degrees Celsius. Tunisia is located on the Mediterranean coast of North Africa, and on July 7, 1931, Kabylie, Tunisia, recorded the hottest temperature in Africa. This regional capital city has a population of around 60,000 and is known for its plentiful sunshine and clear skies. It is in the Sahara Desert, so water and vegetation are scarce. Like other hot places on our list, wind is a major reason for the extreme heat. The winds in Tunisia are known as Gibili. And here is number 1, the hottest place in the world where there are people. Furnace Creek, Death Valley, USA. 134 degrees Fahrenheit, 56.7 degrees Celsius. If we were playing One of These Is Not Like the Other, It would be this one. It is at a low altitude and in the desert, but it is halfway around the world from Kuwait, Israel, Iran, and Tunisia. Who would have guessed that the hottest place on Earth is in the United States? On July 10, 1913, this record was set, and while it has been contested due to the age of the data, it still remains. Death Valley National Park is located mostly in southeastern California, with just a bit in Nevada. This is a vibrant and diverse national park. I have been many times with my family, and I love visiting the sand dunes, the salt flats, and the borax mine artifacts. We usually went during President's Day weekend, and the weather was cool and windy. One time, it even snowed. The intense heat visits in the summer. Furnace Creek is an ideal spot to set a heat record. It rests in a basin surrounded by mountains. The natural wall keeps the hot air in with no means of escaping. The area is also 190 to 282 feet below sea level, which means the air is denser than the air above it, keeping the heat in place.
Great idea for a sauna.
Yeah, sauna is right. Even without the heat record, summer at Furnace Creek is above 120 degrees Fahrenheit, 48 degrees Celsius. Are you sweating yet? Let's transition from the hottest places to the coldest places. Go get your parka.
I'll bring that and, several scarves, and nail-wooded hat, boots with leggings underneath, and then, snow pants. I shall look like Frosty the Snowman's cousin.
But, I think it's more important that you're warm than what you look like. I learned something from my research. People care much more about heat than about cold. It might be that more people live in hot climates, so it matters more to them, but the research is still lopsided. There are many lists of the hottest places with rankings and interesting details. When I researched coldest places, I get one or two, mostly in Russia, and that's all. So I had to do my own search, one continent at a time. What I learned is that, as a planet, we do have extremely cold areas, but they are at the poles, where there are fewer countries and even fewer cities.
What we've learned, people like living in warmth and not in the cold. Which is interesting, because cold is technically just a lot of frozen water, and you need water to survive, so you'd imagine that people would have lived more in the cold areas than the warm areas.
I think partly it is because you can grow food even when it's really hot out, bring irrigation in, do whatever you need, but when all you see around you is ice and snow, it's really hard to grow food. And that would be my guess.
Most likely.
Number 4, Prospect Creek Camp, Alaska, USA. Negative 80 degrees Fahrenheit, negative 66.2 degrees Celsius. My aunt and uncle lived in Fairbanks, Alaska. They would tell stories of it getting down to negative 66 degrees Fahrenheit, negative 54 degrees Celsius. North of Fairbanks is Prospect Creek Camp, which holds the record for the coldest town in the United States, set on January 1st, 1971. While no one lives there today, it was a busy camp during the construction of the Trans-Alaska Pipeline. This now ghost town was built in a valley, and dense freezing air would settle at the bottom. Wind was not common, so it did not move cold air away from the valley. Add months of complete darkness, the record was set in January, and you get an area that holds on to the cold.
Man, vampires would love this place.
Do you know about 30 Days of Night?
Why does that sound like a romance novel that a 12-year-old wrote?
30 Days of Night is a vampire movie that is set in Alaska. Because for 30 days, there's no daylight. It's nighttime the whole time, and the vampires come out. And the town has to fight the vampires, and then right at the very end, just when everybody's about dead, including the good guys and stuff, the sun comes out and the vampires go away. It's called 30 Days of Night. Number 3, Snag, Yukon, Canada. Negative 81.4 degrees Fahrenheit, negative 63 degrees Celsius. It can't be said there was ever a town at Snag, although there was a small First Nations village. In the 1940s, there was an airport and a weather station there, and that was when this record was made, on February 3rd, 1947. It is a good reminder that there may be colder areas in the world, but if no one brings a thermometer, there is no way to know. We are using satellites to measure the temperatures in remote areas nowadays, but it is more of a snapshot than a continuous monitoring.
Question, what happens when these satellites get damaged by meteor showers or anything?
They stop working, and they stop transmitting their information.
They can be damaged to a point where they're not getting the correct readings? Like, it still works, but it's just not working correctly anymore.
I I don't know if that has ever happened, but certainly our measurements are only as good as the equipment that we are using.
Fair enough.
Snag is in a valley 1,925 feet above sea level. This topography traps dense cold air and holds it like a natural freezer. While it is not above the Arctic Circle, it does experience longer nights in winter with only a few hours of sunlight each day. Number 2, Yakutsk, Russia. Negative 83.9 Fahrenheit, negative 64.6 degrees Celsius. This city in eastern Siberia is actually populated. Thanks to good job opportunities in mining for diamonds and gold, 350,000 people live there. I have attached a Smithsonian article about Yakutsk that is fascinating if you want to learn more about this cold city. The record cold temperature was set on February 5th, 1891. This area has been occupied by both Russians and indigenous people for a long time. The city resides on permafrost in a broad valley, which traps cold air due to the surrounding higher terrain. Add a stable winter high-pressure system that acts like a lid on a cooler, and you get a city with extremely cold temperatures. Number 1, Oymyakon in Russia. Negative 97.2 degrees Fahrenheit, negative 71.2 degrees Celsius. If you drive 21 hours from Yakutsk, you will reach the remote village of Oymyakon. 500 people live here, and it holds the record for the coldest inhabited place on Earth, set on February 6, 1933. The topography of this area is similar to that of Yakutsk, and it becomes extremely cold for the same reasons. Here's the question: why would anyone live in these extreme locations? Everyone has their own reasons, but for many people, it is where they grew up, so they are used to dealing with extreme heat or cold. Ties to family and culture can help people survive. For newcomers, the draw could be money. Some cities, such as Yakutsk, Russia, offer above-average pay for work in the mines. On the other extreme, oil in the hotter regions entices many people to live in unbearable heat.
The answer is they're not people. They're like, okay, I don't want to be around a lot of people, though, because, people, ugh. So they're like, all right, I'll live in these small villages.
People may want to live in these extreme environments, but it takes science to help them survive. Fur coats are more than just fashion. The hair on the coat traps air, which is heated by our bodies. This gives the coat a natural insulation, making it perfect for extremely cold temperatures. More modern options are fabrics like Thinsulite, which trap air in the same way fur does without the bulk. Both styles of clothing work well to keep you warm because air is a poor conductor, which makes it a great insulator. If you live in hot places, sweat is your best cooling option, but only if it can leave your skin. It is the evaporation of sweat that keeps you cool. That is why you feel uncomfortable in humid areas. The water in the air prevents your sweat from evaporating and you feel hot. Wearing fabric that wicks moisture away can help you keep cool.
Wait, wicks moisture away? What does wicks mean?
Oh, it means it draws moisture away from you.
Because a wick is a candle thing.
The candle wick draws the wax up into the wick, and that's what the flame uses. And some fabrics do the same thing. They wick moisture. They draw the moisture away from you.
Okay.
Wearing fabrics that wick moisture away can help keep you cool, as can wearing light-colored outfits. Light colors reflect heat, while dark colors absorb it. I would personally like to live in colder areas than hotter ones. Which do you prefer? Let us know in the comments. Would you live in one of these extreme temperature cities? Millions of people do. Perhaps they know something that we don't.
I think all I want to do now is curl up under a blanket and watch some snow fall from my window. I hope you guys out there are enjoying the different weather formations that temperature is bringing to you. And can't wait to see you guys again. Bye-bye!